So, you know what are right triangles. You know how to identify if a side is adjacent or opposite. At least, you should know. Anyways, now you want to know how to solve trigonometric ratios. Well, you have come to the right place. No more waiting, let's get straight into it. Do you know the phrase, Sokatawa? We will be discussing what it means and how is it useful in solving these trigonometric ratios. Let's do things one by one. The first part of the phrase is SO. It stands for sine or this for short. The first of the trigonometric functions. Well, sine only stands for the S in SO. So what does O and H mean? Well, sine is equal to this, opposite over hypotenuse. O stands for opposite and H stands for the hypotenuse. Get it now? Here's a better explanation. The S in SAW stands for sine. Sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, which is what OH means. So, you should have an idea on what the others mean. Next up is Ka. C stands for cosine or cos for short. Cos is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. A stands for the adjacent and H stands for the hypotenuse. Easy to understand, right? Now last up is TOA. T stands for tangent or tan for short. Tan is equal to opposite over adjacent. O stands for the opposite and A stands for the adjacent. Now C is not too hard to remember. Let's get to the actual problems. Problem number 1. Okay, you're going to fix a window. The broken window is 15 feet away from the ground. The ladder you will be using is 16 feet long, which should reach it, but you also need to position the ladder at a 75-degree angle so it doesn't tip over when you climb it. The question is, how high can your ladder reach? Does it still reach the window? Let's find out. So what do we know? The ladder is 60 feet long and is positioned at a 75-degree angle. Let's turn that into a right triangle. This is where we are located. This is our ladder. The hypotenuse. This is the ground, the right angle, the wall, and this corner is how high our ladder will reach. The highlighted are the two unknown sides, since we don't know how long these sides are. So remember what we are looking for. We are looking for how high our ladder reaches. With that being said, we only need to solve this side to get our answer. So how long is this side? First, we need to know what the reference angle is. Looking at the triangle, we should have concluded that this is the reference angle. Now, is this side the opposite side or the adjacent? It's the opposite side. So, what trigonometric ratio uses the hypotenuse and opposite sides? The answer to that is sine. Remember the phrase? Time to use it. Sine represents the S in SAW. And what is sine equal to? Look at the phrase again. SAW. We have used S, so all that is F is O and H, opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, time for the tricky bit. The opposite side is unknown, so let's keep it as O or X or whatever the letter is. But we do know that the hypotenuse is equal to 16, so let's plug that in. Sine A or 75 is equal to O over 16. To solve for O, we will use this solution. O is equal to 16 times sine 75. As you can see, we reshuffle stuff a bit. We replace sine 75 with O and change division to multiplication. Now we can solve it using a calculator. But we can't just use any calculator, we have to use a scientific calculator. You can find the sign button here. Now all you have to do is solve it. Now that we have inputted it into our calculator, we have computed that the ladder reaches about 15.46 feet. Now with that knowledge, can the ladder reach the window? Yes, since 15.46 is greater than 15. Done. Just like that, we have finished the first problem. Not super hard, but not super easy either. Problem 2. You are building a wheelchair ramp. You know what this thing does? It helps people in wheelchairs access a building easier. The ramp you are building needs to be at a 5-degree angle. The sidewalk distance is 20 feet. So if we are where the ramp will start, the end of that ramp will be about 20 feet away. Now for the question. How long will the ramp need to be? Anyways, it's time to start solving. What is our given? First is a 5-degree angle here and a 20-foot long side here. We are looking for the length of the ramp, which is this side, which you know should be the hypotenuse. Upon further inspection, we can conclude this as the reference angle. So what is the given side? Is it opposite or adjacent to the reference angle? This is the opposite side, the side that we don't need. So the side that we do need must be the adjacent side. So, what trigonometric function uses the adjacent side and the hypotenuse? That would be ka. Okay, C stands for cosine or cos, which is equal to A over H or adjacent over hypotenuse. Plug those values in. Cos x is equal to cos 5, since that is the angle of the corner, and also we can also plug in the adjacent. Now, do you see something different? The unknown value is on the bottom, unlike our first problem, which was on the top. So how do we solve it? Is it different? Actually, it is different, but also even easier than the first problem. Once again, we swap the unknown value, which is h, with our trigonometric function, which is cos 5. But this time, we don't change division to multiplication. We just keep it at division. Now we can solve it using our calculator. The ramp needs to be 20.8 feet long, and that is our final answer. 2 problems down, 1 more problem to go. Problem 3. A tree casts a shadow to the flat ground. The distance of the base of the tree and the tip of the shadow is 42 feet. Upon inspection, you measure the angle of elevation of the tip of the shadow to the top of the tree to be 35 degrees. The question is, how tall is the tree? First, of course, is to find the given. The given are 42 feet on this side and a 35-degree angle over here. Now, time to solve it. The value we are looking for is t, or what we can conclude to be the opposite side. The given side is the side which isn't the opposite or hypotenuse, so it is definitely the adjacent side. So, what trigonometric ratio uses the adjacent and opposite sides? That would be tangent or tan from the last part of the phrase. Let's plug in the values. Now we have tan 35 is equal to O over 42. We are looking for O, so let's swap the places of tan 35 and O. Since tan 35 is on the top, we change division to multiplication. Now we have the solution. O is equal to tan 35 times 42. Now solve it on your calculator and we get the answer 29.4 feet. So in conclusion, the tree is about 29.4 feet tall. There. Hopefully, you learned something from this video. But before we end the video, time to answer a frequently asked question. Is trigonometry useful in our daily life? Well, it is useful for some jobs like architects, engineers, pilots, investigators, and even game developers. But if you're not doing those jobs, you are not needing this every day of the week. But hey, if you are measuring something you can physically reach, it can be useful in those scenarios. If we are being realistic though, you probably don't need to remember it, but I want to share with you one more thing. It's better to know it and not need it than the other way around. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, if there is one.